Well, hello, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining me here from our nation's capital. Not sure if the camera supports it good enough. You can see the obelisk and even a piece of the White House here at Ronald Reagan National Airport, coming freshly from ADP's meeting of the minds happening at the Gay Note National across the river at Maryland. Thanks for watching. As usual, here are my three takeaways of the conference. Always tough to pick. An eventful, and I would say even a milestone meeting of the minds for ADP, because for the longest time, analysts, users, me have given ADP a hard time about being behind on user experience. I mean, the vendor has been listening and has been innovating, frankly, since 2 years, but it always takes a long time to build software, and ADP lived up, which is the key takeaway, on the promise they made at a meeting of the minds 2015, held in Nashville, of bringing a new user interface, the new user interface that the pilot before, which is modern and very well usable and up to speed and very competitive to both the Vantage and the Enterprise product. So the really good news is that both products now have that same modern look and feel. If you want to see it, check out my tweet stream or check out my story file, which will be posted in this blog post, and I've been putting on Twitter already if you're watching live. There's only two remaining pieces, right? Rome wasn't built in one day, right? You remember the joke maybe from the Big Dick in Boston. If Rome would have been built in one day, the joke was they would have hired the contractors. So there's two things missing: the practitioner view and the recruiter view. The practitioner view and enterprise. Well, maybe even some HR people, some of them I talk to, even like their old UI, which they're working with, which has grown on them, accustomed to them, but it's going to be replaced in the course of the year, as well as in the recruiter view is the piece which is missing on the Vantage side, which also has a heavy user, professional user, and there I think the vintage Vantage, as I jokingly call it, the classic gray from the 1990s, is actually language to and can work with too. The important thing is that end users, line of business users, all work with this new UI. So a major milestone, which in my view ADP short sold a little bit at the keynote with a very business affair type. Since other vendors with a software DNA, thinking of say SAP, Oracle, or Workday, they would have made a much bigger deal of bringing that product to a modern UI and to improve processes, because not just putting lipstick on the pig, what ADP is doing, but rearranging pieces, rearranging usability by making more complete and more reasonable, more 21st century business process available. The other big story, in my view, the second one, is the ADP Data Cloud, announced last year. Check out last year's event report. Much progress happening this year, which was another promise ADP did last year at the meeting of the minds, which was all about providing a new reporting solution, which equally had become more dated. It's now a modern reporting tool, but not just a reporting tool, it's also the base for what's really interesting. What's I think one of the biggest attractions for anybody using ADP, and we analysts have been asking for a long time, why don't they do that? And that is actually benchmarking, right? And what ADP showed here is given that they pay 30+ million people in North America, they have a very good understanding. Hey, they beat the government here in Washington on a regular basis on the employment report, because they have their pulse and their sampling size, of course, much bigger than what the government has. And they beat it on predictions on that side. But why not use it for benchmarking? And that is finally there. You can pick job codes. Ironically, won't mention to who, there's a little dig to a competitor. Nurses were picked and all the ontologies worked well. So you can directly see what a certain job code makes salary-wise, what are the bandwidths, what are the medians. Check out the UI, it's very well done. A huge draw, lots of good information available there and made available now from benchmarking. And the good news is also, often vendors forget about having access to the data and changing the fine print, those contracts. I mean, once an ADP customers look at the fine print, what you're sharing. On the other side, vendors forget that they build a software capability, but they don't have the data. The interesting thing is his new head of strategy, Don Weinstein, shared with us that once the vendor, even the ones who were skeptical, once the customers see what the value of benchmarking is, and it's, I give my data in a neutralized way of fashion, I get benchmark data back, which is part of the deal benchmarking in general, they're all into it. So they're 99+% of customers opting into the benchmark, even the skeptical ones, when they see the value of that. It's a no-brainer to do that because data is still not exposed to them, but it's just a benefit from also classic approach of benchmarking. So very good to see. And potentially for ADP, the way to a data as a service situation where the data might not be available just for ADP customers, but be generally offered, something which is the fourth leg of the as a service options, which is infrastructure as a service, providing compute, storage, and networking, platform as a service, how to build these things, and then software as a service, which is very well known, SaaS, and on top of that, potentially, or next to that, data as a service. Interesting area to watch, interesting for customers beyond ADP potentially. Third takeaway is the marketplace, which ADP launched also a year ago. An easy way to attract into the ecosystem. ADP has done a good job of keeping this open. There's room for competitors. Was at the lunch today, and Cornerstone, which competes with Vantage, ADP's talent management solution, won an award for what they offer. It's not fully hands-on competitive potentially because mainly around the learning pieces, which ADP does not offer yet. We'll see that. No hint on that, nothing official, just my speculation. But it shows it's an open marketplace, and there's of course this tremendous ecosystem or market potential of 30+ million employees being paid in North America, which attracts many large and small ISVs. And making it easy to plug into that is interesting. The other partner won the award was engagement vendor Global Force, so interesting to see how well both of them are integrated. They're major players. The good news is there's over 90 customers who have signed up. As mentioned, ADP signs up everybody pretty much, so there's no fear of competition or cannibalizing other pieces. Weinstein made it very clear ADP wants to compete on the merits, not on locking out the competition. And over almost 50 of them are live on the marketplace. So I think it's an interesting thing. I will do that. I will check out the marketplace and see if all those works there, and we'll go from there. So coming to the titlets, as it's getting long, the new onboarding solution went live. Good news, onboarding is going live across the industry. Special for us analysts because we got to play with it at the Analyst Summit back in September. Kudos again for ADP to letting us play with their own software. Shown in the keynote in a funny way, we're in Washington, so President Obama was onboarding new people in his team, or his management team, so he can make some funny jokes, had some laughter. So that, equally the same UI, good solution, has the key things. Goes probably a little deeper. It's a very rich version 1 for an onboarding, some other things happening around benefits and so on in that single version. Then, of course, looked at the global view piece, which is doing well. Similar here, it's on the new UI, the portal is there. Things are moving very quickly there for ADP. And equally on the partnership side, the partnership with Workday is on the way. See the tweets around that announcement, which came kind of like a surprise last year at Workday's conference. So good to see that that is in swing and moving in a modern way and restful kind of like a way of integrating these applications. And then, of course, ACA, big topic, right? It's getting more complex this year. The 1095 has to come. More eligible workers have to be looked. All of them have to be looked. So new ground zero, hard working for enterprise here. ADP, of course, helps with that. It's a major business for them. I keep joking, the ACA is the gift which keeps giving for the software vendors. And last but not least, can't disclose too much on this. It's good to see that ADP not only innovates and has concluded a major milestone on the UI side, but has also keeps looking at way of building things more innovatively. Right? Check out my blog. I visit their innovation center in New York, which I think by now has proven its value by really lifting the ADP products, which are no longer your grandfather ADP products, but really nice, modern, competitive, good-looking applications to modern. But ADP is not stopping here and is looking at faster ways of building product in very, very aggressive time frames. Unfortunately, that was still under the NDA, but it's a very fast way of building things in a different way. Of course, a different kind of like solution use class then coming out of that, but very interesting if you think beyond the typical HR system population, which is the HR manager in the past and the HR practitioners in the past, but it's really about enabling the business user, business line user. So stay tuned for that. Not sure when ADP will lift the wraps on that solution. So thank you very much for watching. So overall, good, to sum it up, a good ADP meeting of the minds. Little undersold, like I mentioned before already from ADP side, would have loved more fireworks, more engagement, more applause, more energized users, because all users who are at this conference for so much new software. But hey, what hasn't happened can happen. ADP is becoming less of a services payroll vendor, more of a software company. So good to see that. And there's always learning for everybody. So congratulations to ADP. Good news for customers who are encouraged to look at the new UIs and get familiar with them, look at the marketplace, as you can create in much easier way value. And now the question has shifted. Asked that Carlos Rodriguez, the CEO, on the Q&A, right? For the longest time, the focus was on product, not having the right capabilities. Now it's moving like, how many customers can we get to this? What is the service? What the onboarding? There's plans on that too, but time is running out. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Greetings from Washington. Hope this was audible well enough, as in the past with a busy Reagan background, fellow other passengers in the background. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it.